Good afternoon, everybody. After lunch, probably you are going to fall asleep. Just want to raise a question to you. If you are at the age of 45, you have a very good job, you thought you have a very good job with good pay. Your spouse decide to leave her job because she wants to spend more time with the daughter. You have your only lovely daughter studying in a high school in the UK. And all of a sudden your boss came to your office telling you that the company is going to withdraw from the market. You will lose your job very soon. The good thing is that you are approached by a few headhunters, but you do not know exactly whether you can get a job or not. So what will you do? This was exactly the question in my mind in the late 1999, and was a disaster. And after all, I decided to make a big decision. Actually, I joined BAS PLC of the UK in the year 1998, and I was the one leading the commercial team of his joint venture in Northeast China. A very good job. But the project went to extremely sour because of the confrontation between the partners. So by the end of the day, the management finally decided to withdraw from the market. So for those few days, I have to make a very, very quick decision. So I decided to stop everything. Because I believe that besides this totally misunderstanding of the local culture by the British investor, I think I was also not good enough to be the one who lead the team to keep the joint venture in a very, very good shape. So therefore, I decided to break myself completely down and try to rebuild myself before some of the new challenges. So therefore, I decided to go to Bath and spend 1 year for a full-time MBA course. But it's extremely difficult for me to do so because money-wise is a problem. For making this kind of critical decision, probably you can imagine that behind the scene there might be something, there's a driving force forcing me to do that. So let me bring you to two stories. The first part of the motivation is from my brother-in-law, Simon. Simon was a pastor in a Christian church in the mid-90s. In the year 1997, when he was 32 years old and having two lovely children, one son being 1.5 years old, another son being 3 years old, the medical doctor told him that he suffered from a very serious cancer, so his life will probably only last for 3 months. Instead of worrying about himself and the family, Simon decided to use up the rest of the life to try to influence people, as many people as possible. He has a kind of vision. He believed that he can do a lot of things to the young people in Hong Kong and also mainland China. So he spent almost every day going to churches, universities, schools, government institutions, private institutions, focusing on delivering talks to the young people by using the angle of a man who was about to die. And he was talking about, say, if a man going to die, just like an oil lamp, when you run out of oil, you are burning yourself. It will be bright, it will help people to look into themselves. And he's trying all the best to tell young people that, you have to love your life. You have to enjoy every single minute of your life because it is important to you. And then just because of that, you can create value to the whole world. He did a lot on a daily basis. I still remember at his memorial service, something like 2.5 years later, there was a video show at the end of the program, and it was Simon himself. And the video was shot by the senior producer of TVB, Peter Tan. And in the video, he started with saying, "Thank you so much for coming to this wonderful ceremony. I know you come because you all love me. You are my beloved relative and friends. At the end of the video, Simon said, thank you for coming. And when you leave this place, please bring along your happiness and your passion and try to enjoy every single day of your rest of your life. Simon came to my mind when I was struggling what to do in 1999. And he affected me a lot. For years, I do not know how to express my thanks to Simon. But today, Simon's wife is sitting in this hall as one of the audience. I want to, in front of all you, I want to send my sincere thanks to Simon, and I want you to be the representative to receive my sincere thanks. Sir, are you here? Thank you so much. Many people said that leader is, lifelong learning. What's a great leader? I think great leader should be the one who try to pick up every single pieces of item along the life, along the journey, and try to form a kind of formula for yourself on a daily basis. The second part of my motivation is from another story, which is also a real life story, which is from a girl called Jennifer. When I was a sales manager for Carlsberg in early 90s, one day I read the newspaper, local newspaper. It was talking about a little girl at 8 years old suffered from a drug allergy. And there was a story about, the sad story about the little girl was that in one of the New Year Eve, Chinese New Year Eve, and Jennifer suffered from a very serious cold. The mother took her to the medical doctor. The medical doctor wanted her to recover as soon as possible, so therefore gave her a bit stronger drops and pills. Unfortunately, the mixture of the drop and pills and create a big problem to Jennifer. She got high fever for weeks, so she was sent to hospital for the intensive treatment. Very unfortunate that after all the methods being used, her temperature, the body temperature could not be pressed down. And due to all this high temperature, and Jennifer started to lose all this control on the organs. In particular, the skin of Jennifer is going to tear off, including the skin inside the mouth. I don't know how to describe, but basically it is the only case in the world by the time. So the hospital was decided to give up actually. And one night, Jennifer all of a sudden thought about the Bible study a year ago, where the teacher taught her that there's one statement in the Bible say, don't be afraid, just believe. So all of a sudden, she suggested her mother to pray with her. And the mother was actually about to get mad, actually, there's only little girl, in the ward for so many weeks, the temperature could not go down, and she went to different temples, tried to worship all kinds of God she could meet. So therefore, the mother listened to the girl, and then they pray word by word in the quiet of the middle night. The good thing, amazingly, that the next morning, Jennifer's temperature, the body temperature, started to go down. But unfortunately, because there's a long time high temperature of her body, that he lost the complete eyesight in one eye. And then she also lost about 80 to 90% of the eyesight in the other eye. But all these years, she tried all the best to work very, very hard along the way, going back to the normal school, and finally migrated into Canada because temperature, the weather there, basically good for her treatments. After all these years, a few years ago, Jennifer graduated from the University of Waterloo with a double major. And also, at one time, she got 6 scholarships, in 1 year. She affected me a lot in all these developments as a leader. And today, Jennifer is also my VIP coming along all the way. And I want Jennifer, you stand up. and try to show your beauty to the world. After all the people affect me a lot. And one of the issues is that after coming back from the UK, I got an opportunity going back to my very beloved old employer, Carlsberg. And then I was assigned a mission impossible task going to West China to develop the business for Carlsberg. And I must tell you, when I received this assignment to go west, I tell you very honestly, I never tell a lie. It's not. But I've never been to those places before I accept the assignment. But anyway, and then I jumped a little bit. And afterwards, I went to those places. In the past 12 years, I helped the company to increase the number of breweries from 1 to 60. And that business 30 times bigger than the time when I joined. And then, actually, I will jump. This is talk about the fishing story because my boss was one of the typical great leader. Because one day he asked me to join the whole program. So he asked me to be thinking about when we retired, whether we can do the fishing. And then so he asked me to close my eyes to think about how we achieve in China. He basically told me all these stepping stones in his work plan. And I was the one motivated by him, simply just sitting there, doing some sort of dreaming, so create my strong commitment. I started my journey in Yunnan province, and then by that time there was an outbreak of SARS in Hong Kong. And I was warned by the government saying that you could not go back to Hong Kong, otherwise you are not allowed to come back. And so therefore I decided to stay 8 months instead of 2 weeks as originally planned. So it is something that if you want to do things good, and you have to sacrifice. And afterwards, that's the journey I finished. But I want to use a short time to share with you my drawing, so you must love it. And this is drawing talking about whatever leader you are, you basically looks like a frog. When we see those junior staff or incapable people when in the workplace, and usually we describe them as a frog at the bottom of the well because they have the limited environment, stop them to think about the big things. So therefore, always the big frogs thought that they are better than the small frogs. What my big bosses did to me is, if you are really a leader who wants to develop a very big team, a very good organization, it is necessary for you to stand next, to move closer to the small frogs, to your junior staff, and try to understand from their heart and try to talk in their language. And by the end of the day, and try all your best to take them out of their well and take them to your environment. Let them smell what you felt and try to let them understand about your language. And therefore, this kind of caring, this kind of a partnership can create a bigger, a better organization for the company. So this is my real life story. I hope you enjoy.